Hello and welcome to part 2 of Kwanzaa in the 21st century. I am the OracleShariananda. I am a clairvoyant medium with telepathic powers, and I am a hands-on healer. I am located in Atwater, California, and you may reach me by 209-358-4850 or Postal Box 3783, Merced, California 95340. Or you may reach me by email at Shariananda@gmail.com or OracleShariananda@gmail.com. Thank you. Now, as to Kwanzaa in the 21st century, in an earlier video, part 1, we talked with you about the tradition of Kwanzaa, and we talked about our intention to bridge Kwanzaa as a tradition in the African American community with the global effort to awaken humanity to its great possibility through evolutionary transcendence. Now, in the last video, I did not talk about it in such grandiose terms because I wanted to make sure we had our firm grounding in an understanding of Kwanzaa. But now I would like to move us forward, if you please, into looking at the principles of Kwanzaa as they relate to the 5 categories of which I have already pre-selected them. So once again, I remind you that the principles of Kwanzaa include Umoja for unity, Kujichagulia for self-determination, Ujima for collective work and responsibility, Ujamaa for collective economics, Nia for purpose, Kuumba for creativity, and Imani for faith. And those are the principles of Kwanzaa. Now I want to show you a diagram that I have created for us, and we will start at the far point, which is Umoja. And you will see as you look down at the sheet that I've composed here, you will see day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and you'll see a color dot. Those color dots represent the candles that would be lit each day of Kwanzaa. 3 green, 3 red, and 1 black. The green, of course, stands for the land. The red stands for the blood that was shed. And black stands for the race. However, we also might look at these 3 dots as green for the heart chakra, and so the first 3 days we would be working out of our heart chakra, which is a seer. Chakra stands for the idea of wheel that turns within the body. It's part of a subtle energy field that allows us to create health and states of well-being and protection in our body. The red circles might stand for the root chakra, that which helps us be grounded, which funnels through our fiercest and our most passionate emotions. And finally, the black one would represent the void itself. And much of what we create in our lives comes out of the blackness of the void, the dark night sky that goes ad infinitum, on and on and on. And in that is the great mystery. So we want to come back over now and talk a little bit about those categories I told you about. You may see to your immediate right, family and tradition, the world or global stage. You may see also the spiritual or metaphysical, and finally love between a couple, and finally the one or the self. So we want to now apply across the board those categories by doing readings that incorporate each day of Kwanzaa, for which a candle would be lit, all the way to the 7th day when Kwanzaa comes to an end, and we exhibit our faith by moving on into the future. Okay, So that gives you a pretty good idea of how we're going to do this. Now I would like to introduce you to the decks that I will be using tonight. As I said in the previous video, I am a master of using several decks of tarot. But before I even do any of that, I want to make sure you have a education that you might be able to use. There is a book entitled Easy Tarot Handbook by Josephine Elishaw. It would be a good book for those of you who find it very interesting what I'm saying tonight and would like to read further on the idea of how to learn to read the tarot and apply it to your lives, or to help others see more clearly their own paths. There is a book called How to Read the Tarot by Sylvia Abraham, which I have found useful in the past. As a matter of fact, I even did some coloring of some of the drawings in the book myself. I have always enjoyed coloring, and since coloring in and of itself is a healing process, and it lifts you out of depression, gives you a sense of being in touch with that which is alive inside of you, I tend to do it at every chance I get. There's also Sylvia Abraham's How to Use the Tarot Spreads. And I find this one especially useful because it gives you a money spread, which many of you are yourselves always looking for. And it gives you a work spread if you're looking for work. So there are books to help you. As a matter of fact, every deck that I'm working with tonight has a book. We will be working with the Herbal Tarot, and the Herbal Tarot has this guidebook that goes with it. We will be working with the Initiation to the Stars star deck, and it has this book to go with it, Initiation to the Stars, and it's by James F. Jerup. And the other book that we'll be working with tonight will be the Mayan Oracle, and it is without a cover at this point, but I can let you see the spine, which might be useful for you. This is called the Mayan Oracle, and naturally, if it's a Mayan Oracle, it takes into consideration that we are fast approaching 2012. We are also going to be looking at the Book of African Divination, and this is by Raymond Buckland and Kathleen Binger. And that book, actually, we're going to be using the deck from that book. We will be looking at the Voyager Tarot, and the Voyager Tarot is a fast-moving deck that really points its way to where you are traveling to. So you will notice that you have a space traveler or someone who is on the move. So we're going to be using the Voyager Tarot. We're going to be using the Book of African Divination. We're also going to be using the Tarot of the Ages, and this takes into account every one of the races on planet Earth, and so it is a very important deck of tarot. We're going to be using the Isis Tarot, and the Isis Tarot has a very small book to go with it, and so you probably won't be able to really make out much about it. But all tarot decks typically come with their own booklet. The very first deck that I ever worked with in my entire life was the Daughters of the Moon Tarot, and it is the tarot that I rely on. It and the Herbal Tarot are the two tarots that I rely on primarily to do readings when I need a hand with, say, getting into the specifics of a very specific question that someone may have asked. So these are the books that we are drawing our knowledge from, and there will be a number of cards that will come up. So what I have done is I have drawn a card for every day of the week in Kwanzaa that signifies the day that Kwanzaa day is dedicated to. Now, normally in Kwanzaa celebrations, a person would light the candle each day at the altar that would have been set up at the house. On that altar would be a mat, and on that mat would be corn or some representation of fruit. And so in an altar that's behind me that you can't see now, and which I will introduce in the final video for this discussion, There is a mat. There is a bowl with grain or rice in it to represent that harvest fruit. I have a bowl with oranges in it to represent fruit itself. I have a bowl with water in it, and there is always a bowl that represents libation. And then there is an empty bowl to receive, and I have a bowl in which I have burned a bill, a monetary bill, in order to release myself from the strain of saying I don't have, I can't afford, I need, into I am easy, I am relaxed, I have money to burn. And so this is a part of the ritual which I would like to pass on to you tonight. Furthermore, we have lit the symbolic 7 candles for Kwanzaa, 3 red, 3 green, and 1 black. But in this case, we've done 1 white, 1 green, and 1 red. We couldn't find the black candle because it's Christmas time, and at Christmas time, all the Halloween black candles disappear. So nobody wants to mar Christmas with a black candle. So I think that should be changed, but that's a side discussion. Okay, everyone. So now I would like to show you a few of the cards from the decks that I am going to be looking at tonight as I talk. The first thing I'd like to show you is from the Book of African Divination, which we have already talked about a little bit. This deck has a spider as its primary motif. That is, things are being woven at all times in our universe. So as I speak to you about Kwanzaa and bridging the gap between Kwanzaa and New Thought, that is a weaving that I am doing. I represent in some ways the spider. And for those of you who have spider fear, do not take the spider to mean a bad omen or to be any way wicked. What we are in fact talking about is the weaving of things that cannot be seen. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Often you do not see the spider weave its web, but that web in and of itself is very strong, and it's made of beautiful silken material. And so the goodness that can come from our tarot reading is in itself self-evident. We will be talking about very specific issues, but not the ones that I'm showing you on this card. This is just a sample card from the deck. It discusses loyalty. It also discusses being practical. But at the same time you're looking at a positive card, there are plenty of negative cards in this deck. For example, disillusionment, which shows the separation between a couple. Or the impractical, which is the opposite of the practical you saw a moment ago. Or possibly discontentment, which in this instance would be someone who did not recognize that they have been given all that they need. In looking at self-determination and collective work, no one should have this condition to live with. So that is what the African Divination deck looks like. The deck that is the Tarot of the Ages, which I spoke to you about, the Tarot of the Ages, it shows various racial groups. And so in this one we're looking at a Maasai warrior on the desert of Africa. In this one we're looking at a Native American as the Knight of Cups. In this one we're looking at one of the indigenous people, say maybe a Mayan or an Aztec. And in this one we're looking at maybe perhaps Asian culture, where you have a young man who is looks like heartbroken. So we have a very eclectic selection of decks, and we also have a very eclectic selection of cards. And I want to show you the Voyager, some Voyager cards. The Voyager also includes, you can't see the writing on this one, but it says 7 of Cups. This one is the Woman of Cups. So I think we're going to run out of time before I can show you any more of these decks. So I will show them to you as I do the readings in the next video. I want to thank you for being with me again. If you'd like to contact me, please do so at OracleShariananda@gmail.com, or you can write me at P.O. Box 3783, Merced, California 95340. And if you'd like to reach me by phone, you can at 209-358-4850. Thank you.